Hello everybody, my name is BearCozy, and today we're playing some Awaken Chaos Era. What I want to bring to you today is a free-to-play QoT12 team. So if you're new here, I strive to make not only entertaining, but also educational videos, and I try to put as much value into my content as I can. And if you're coming back, thank you so much for coming back, subscribing, and watching all of my videos. What I wanted to talk to you about today was QoT12 free-to-play. This is going to be a free-to-play comp in QoT12 with very budget gear, and Valak is actually, let's get into this. So what we're going to do is, let's get into this. We are going to, I don't want to skip formation. Let's do one multi-battle. Now this is my free-to-play team. As you can see, I have Hakrin and I have Valak. I don't know if the location of the heroes matters. As far as I can tell, I'm not sure. I don't think it does, but it might. So Valak is level 50. I'm going to put up all of their stats on screen so you can take a look. Valak is level 50 and he's missing half of his glyphs. He only has half level 4 glyphs and he's missing that. Rodira is upgraded all the way. She is very easy to play, very free to play friendly. I've gotten about 18 or 19 copies of her already, and I cannot pull another healer. So Rodira is there. Santos is unascended, and I believe Hakrin is ascended twice. I'm not sure where he is. He's down here somewhere. I think he is ascended twice. Yep, there he is. He doesn't need to be ascended for this, but it does help a little bit with survivability. So, couple of things to note. There are multiple variations of this team. This is the first variation and the most basic, the most free-to-play friendly. Hakrin, Santos are all fusible. Valak is farmable, I believe, in chapter 7 or 8. You can farm him as you run adventure. Valak drops quite a bit, so he is farmable very, very easy. And Rodira you can pull very, very easy from basic shards. And most of her came from basic shards, about half of them, and then half of them came from the regular shards. That is the first team. I did save my squad for this. By the way, if you don't know, you can actually save teams for this, preset teams. On the left-hand side, click on squad, and you can save them. So that is my free-to-play QoT team right here, right? So this is the first variation. That's the most basic and the most easiest version to do. Now, there are other variations. I do have another QoT team with Hakrin, with Santos, and Gangelo as my main poisoner, as my best hero right now for QoT. So he is there because I pulled him. He was actually my first Lego, and I had to build him because that's all I had. So I've been using him. And then as of recently, I made myself a faster, much faster version of QoT, and that actually runs at about 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes with Zatlux. There is one more version that I don't have saved here for this team, and that is when you're done running this team, you can replace Hakrin with Zatlux, and that will cut your time down significantly. And Zatlux can be free to play as well because you can get him in the Covenant. Here's what I'm going to do. For spells, I am going to use the Last Breath, which is the Revival, and I am going to use Gaia's Renewal. If your healer doesn't have enough heals, does not put off enough healing to support your champs and your other heroes from dying, you will need Last Breath, and that is what I did for the longest time until I got my Santos in Revival gear. Let's go ahead and get into this. This is QoT12. I wish it showed on the screen. As you can see, Hakrin is going to go first, give his buffs to the whole team. That will make everybody a little bit tankier. Valak is only level 50, so the only time he does pretty good, but the only time he actually dies in here is when they all target him. Now, the one caveat to this is, to make this work, I did have to put Santos and Valak in Revival gear, and they do receive healing every single turn. You can make this work without it, but it's much tougher. Not to mention, Valak is only level 50, and he is missing half of his level 4 glyphs and all of his level 5 glyphs. So, Hakrin goes first, and then I think Santos goes, and then Valak does his thing, and then, of course, Rodira is in the back healing up. So, as you can see, this is a slower team. This is going to be your free-to-play starter team if you are free-to-play, or if you're low-spend. I am not free-to-play. I am a low-spend player. I primarily just buy the Magic Pass. And the point is, if you are just starting out, this is a really good starter team, and that can carry you. So there we go. We're getting ourselves through the first wave. It is slower because Valak doesn't really do a whole lot. his focus is very low, and I primarily put him in revival gear to give him a little bit of survivability because he's missing a lot of glyphs. And Rodira, I don't think Rodira has really good gear. She has mediocre gear, and that's all leveled mediocrely. Skipping right to the boss. Now, here is the correct rotation. Here's the target for me, the target priority. I target the elite on the right, and then I go right for the boss. So that is my priority. That has been working really, really well for me. Queen of Tides is primarily a sustained battle, so you need to bring some good heals. If you have Rodira, if you have Mathasia, they are much better. Or excuse me, if you have Blackhorn and you have Mathasia, they are much better than Rodira. Rodira is okay. She can do the job, but she's not great at it. And right now, Rodira is the only one that I can pull. So she has to work. She's been working out okay. And she has to work because I don't have any other healers. And as you can see, as I've mentioned, Valak is only level 50. He is strong element, so he does receive slightly less damage, which is very, very nice. He does have a higher chance to dodge as well, which is very, very good. He resists a lot of stuff. So he is doing okay. We got Hakron that stacks up max HP on everybody. And then Santis just does her poisons slow and steady. And you have a couple of things I want to mention here, actually. Number one, for this, Rodira is going to have to heal for at least 7,000 on her ultimate. That is the minimum that I've been able to make it work with. Now, if she's not healing for 7k, let's see if Rodira uses her ultimate here. If she's not healing for a minimum of 7k for everybody, that means that she doesn't have enough HP and she needs more health. So keep that in mind. You might have to try to put her in a couple of Terra sets or just stack health in general. The other thing is, Santis is fairly squishy, and I put her in a revival set just for the added survivability. That makes a huge difference because, as you can see, every turn she does heal herself. Looks like we lost some stacks. That is unfortunate from Hakron. I miss the days when Hakron's buffs used to keep on everybody. The other thing to keep in mind is Santis. If you have Santis ascended to her A5 to activate her trait, if you have Santis ascended to her A5 to activate her trait, that will help a lot because she actually puts up twice as many poisons, and that will make it go faster. So number one was Rodira, to keep an eye on her. She heals for about 7,600 with maximum stacks from Hakron. The second thing is Santis. Check her ascension. Mine doesn't have any, so I have to put her in a revival set because Rodira has a hard time healing her and Valak because Valak is squishy and everybody starts taking a lot of damage. So by putting Santis in a revival set, she takes a little bit less damage, allowing Rodira to focus primarily on healing Hakron and Valak. So that is it right there. The other thing I wanted to mention, the other thing to note is, depending on how many times the ad on the left stacks a joint attack on himself, you could see he's got joint attack. If you're having a hard time clearing it, you might have to target him as well and kill him if you're having a hard time. My team does fairly well, but sometimes somebody dies, sometimes Hakron or Valak dies, and that's why I bring Last Breath. Now right now, they are doing good. Hakron is working very hard on stacking the maximum HP on everybody, so Rodira can heal everybody, and that's working out good. There goes Santis spreading the poisons, and this guy should be dead. There he goes, he's dead. This is on a multi. Now, this is not a fast team by any means, but it's a team that'll let you run Queen of Tides 12 100% of the time. And it's a very budget-friendly team. I've showed off all their stats. Let's look at their gear, and let's look at their glyphs, and then we're going to look at variation number 2. Looking at glyphs, Hakron, glyphs maxed out, okay? Gear, subpar. I have him in some speed boots as well to make sure he goes first. And that was primarily because I needed him. Originally, when I built the team, I needed him to go first, put up the buffs, because my heroes were dying. Next up, we got is Santis. Okay, there's her gear. She is in a revival set, and this is taking me some time. Her gear is not the best, but this has taken me time. It's been a slow and steady process. Glyphs, maxed out. They have to be, as well as skills. Next one up is my one and only healer. Rodira's glyphs are almost maxed out, missing 2. Missing speed, which I don't need because I do have her ascended to 6 stars. And I'm missing attack, which I don't really care on her as well. So I'm saving myself some glyphs. Her gear is subpar, as you can see. She is in 3 pieces of Terra set. And I got that from Roaring Tulpa 11. And most of her gear is between 9 and 12. And that's where we sit right now. looking at Valak, Valak is only level 50. I should probably lock him so I don't sacrifice him in the synthesis. If you look at his gear, again, he's got very mediocre gear. If you look at his glyphs, 2 glyphs, level 4, that's it. The rest of them are missing. The one I got is defense and resistance and HP. That's it. There are other glyphs. There are much needed glyphs. If you max yours out, if you finish all of your glyphs, it will be a lot easier. The reason that mine is working with half glyphs is because he is in a revival set, which helps a ton. Now, his gear is not the best. Most of the stuff is HP, and it is only rolled to 9. And as you could see, the sub stats, or the secondary stats, are rolled kind of crappy, and that's that. But it is working. The revival set does help a lot. If you don't have the revival set, do the best you can. Limp along until you have 4 pieces to put them in, and that gets a lot easier. The other thing to note is boots. HP boots on Santos and Valak to help them stay alive. Okay, we looked at version number 1. Let's go to version number 2, variation number 2. When you get this team down running 100%, when your healer can heal your team without them dying, and like I mentioned before, if you have Blackhorn, that's going to be much easier. Then what you could do is you could take Hackern out, and you can actually put in Zatlux, if I can find my Zatlux. Now, for this, Zatlux is going to need over 200% crit damage. If you can't get him over 200% crit damage, he will most likely not be able to clear the waves. Going into Queen of Tides 12, variation number 2. Hackern is out, Zatlux is in. There goes Zatlux. He is there just primarily to clean up the waves and help the team go faster. Now, as you notice here, my Zatlux actually goes 3rd, and I did that on purpose. When my Zatlux goes 1st, he does not have enough damage output to clear the waves by himself, so I slowed him down, increased his crit damage, and also I'm allowing my other heroes to do some damage to the mobs in the waves, and that does actually help Zatlux quite a bit, because now with the first one damaged, he can clear the first one, and then he actually puts up a 15% attack buff on himself because he is ascended twice. And I got 1 copy of him from the Covenant, and I pulled 1 copy of him as well. We are going to see if we can kill the crab on the right-hand side. He does put up joint attack on himself, and he does do a lot of damage. So sometimes this is a little bit of an RNG battle here. My healer is not the best, so sometimes the team fails. I did have a few successful runs, and they did okay, and then I did have a few failed runs. So if this run fails, I'm going to keep tweaking on this. Of course, I have a much faster speed farming team that is 2 minutes. So I haven't really been focusing on Valak, and I made him work the way he is, and that's why I stopped there. Now, right now, Zatlux is a little bit squishy, and the survival of the team depends on a couple of things. It's a little bit RNG based, depends on how hard we get hit, of course, how many resists the team gets, and that is not ideal at all. But this is a second variation, so if you have a much better healer like Blackhorn, Blackhorn will be fantastic in here. He will be able to keep everybody up. Rodira does not heal every turn, and I don't have everybody in revival sets. That is how it is for now. Typically, if we were able to kill the crab on the right before he does too much damage, and unfortunately Zatlux dies, and Valak dies, and Santos dies, so unfortunately everybody died there. This run is clearly over, but if we were able to kill Valak a little bit faster, or if we were able to kill the ad on the right a little bit faster, this would be fine. And that we can accomplish by ascending Santos to her A5 and activating her trait, and that would do it. Once you get your first team going and you get comfortable with that, you can actually go in with something like this. Now, this is my speed team right now. I do use Santos, I do use Gangelo, and I do use Zatlux. This team runs in about 2 minutes. Going into Queen of Tides with my fast team. This is my fast team. As you can see, I bring Zatlux, Gangelo, and Santos. Zatlux cleans up all of the waves, and we go right along. Now, the key here is to kill the crab on the right really quickly before he destroys our team, because he does have that joint attack, and that hurts us quite a bit. And as I've mentioned, I do have Gangelo for this one. I do have Santos, who's unascended. I do have Zatlux and Rodira. Santos doesn't have any ascensions. If she did, this would go a lot faster. But Gangelo does actually have 2 ascensions, I pulled 2 copies of him, strangely enough, and the last one I got from the Arcana, which was from the Arena. And as you can see, Queen of Tides does target Zatlux, so there are different variations of this team, and this will go much faster once Santis is fully ascended. But I do have Gangelo in a curse set for him to take a couple of extra swings. This crab should be dead this turn. There he goes. He is dead. And we're moving on straight to the Queen of Tides. This should be a very, very fast team. So you can start, and there you go. You can see how much damage the poisons did. So once you start with a team, you find yourself some synergy, find your groove with a team that can clear it 100% of the time or 80% of the time, and then you go from there, working on it slowly, upgrading your gear, testing out different heroes, and that is my second variation. And this is what I've been running for a while now, and I will make a more in-depth video on this team specifically, and I'll go over all my thoughts. There goes the Queen of Tides. She is down just like that, 2 minutes and 10 seconds. I wanted this video to stay on the free-to-play subject, so I have been focusing on Valak. I will make a much more detailed video on my fast farm Queen of Tides 12 team, and that's going to be later. I wanted to keep this free-to-play friendly and focused, and as I've mentioned, the thing that's helping me the most is actually the Terra gear and the Revival gear. Use what you have. If you don't have Revival gear, farm Queen 11 until you get a couple of pieces, and see if you can match some Revival sets, some Revival pieces with health. Boots are health. They don't have to be 6-star. But at this point, since I farmed Queen of Tides in 2 minutes, I am focused on only keeping 6 stars. The ring is health, of course, and the necklace is health. So everything is health focused. Now, the substats did not roll too well, but everything is primarily focused on health, and that will give them a lot more survivability. And as I've mentioned, once I finish these glyphs, which I will not, but if you finished your own glyphs to level 4 and level 5, go ahead and finish those out. That will give you a lot more survivability. If you ascend Santis all the way, that will help as well. My Santis has 0 ascensions. And then, of course, if you're using any other healer than Rodira, that will help as well. So I hope that video helped. Let me know in the comments below if you were able to make this team, or if this is something that you've been struggling with, and if this helped you at all. Help my channel to grow by hitting the subscribe button and also hitting the like button. Doing those 2 things will help my channel to grow, and that will drive the YouTube video to reach more people like you. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.